मुदाकरात् मोदकं सदा विमुक्तिसाधकं कलाधरावतंसकं विलासि लोकरक्षकम् अनायकैकनायकं विनाशितेव दैत्यकं नताशुभाशुनाशकं नमामि तं विनायकं न तेतरातिभीकरं नवोदितार्कभास्वरम् न मत्सुरारिनिर्जरं न ताधिकापदुद्धरं सुरेश्वरं निधीश्वरं गजेश्वरं गणेश्वरं महेश्वरं तमाश्रये परात्परं निरन्तरं समस्तलोकशङ्करं निरस्तदैत्यकुञ्जरं दरेतरोदरं वरं वरे भवक्त्रमक्षरं कृपाकरं क्षमाकरं मुदाकरं यशस्करं मनस्करं नमस्कृतां नमस्करोमि भास्वरम् अकिञ्चनार्तिमार्जनं चिरन्तनोक्तिभाजनं पुरारिपूर्वनन्दनं सुरारिगर्वचर्वणं प्रपञ्चनाशभीषणं धनञ्जयादिभूषणम् कपोलदानवारणं भजे पुराणवारणं नितान्तकान्तिदन्तकान्तिमन्तकान्तिकात्मजम् अचिन्त्यरूपमन्तहीनमन्तराय कृन्तनं हृदन्तरे निरन्तरं वसन्तमेव योगिनां तमेकदन्तमेव तं विचिन्तयामि सन्ततं महागणेश पञ्चरत्नमादरेण योऽन्वहं प्रजल्पति प्रभातके हृदि स्मरणगणेश्वरम् अरोगतामदोषतां सुसाहितिं सुपुत्रतां समाहितायुरष्टभूतिमभ्युपैति सोचिरात् समाहितायुरष्टभूतिमभ्युपैति सोचिरात् समाहितायुरष्टभूतिमभ्युपैति सोचिरात् सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा विदिताखिलशास्त्रसुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं चरणं भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् करुणावरुणालय पालय मां भवसागरदुःखविदूनहृतम् रचयाखिलदर्शनतत्त्वविदं भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भवता जनता सुहिता भविता निजबोधविचारणचारुमते कलयेश्वर जीव विवेकविदं भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भव एव भवानिति मे नितरां समजायत चेतसि कौतुकिता मम वारय मोहमहाजलधिं भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् सुकृते धिकृते बहुधा भवतो भविता समदर्शनलालसता अतिदीनमिमं परिपालय माम् भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् जगतीमवितुं कलिता कृतयो विचरन्ति महामहसच्छलतः अहिमांशुरिवात्र विभासि गुरो भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् गुरुपुङ्गवपुङ्गवकेतनते समतामयतां नहि कोऽपि सुधी शरणागतवत्सलतत्त्वनिधे भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् विदितान मया विशदेककलान् न च किञ्चन काञ्चिनमस्ति गुरो धृतमेव विदेहि कृपां सहजाम् भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम्. So today, before we begin our philosophical discussion, as always, I want to talk a little bit about what is happening. Unfortunately, we have another student who's suffering from the virus, and the first one that we identified was in the US, and the second one that we now know of is in the UK. And it's definitely not easy. There are no tests available, and there's also no medication being extended by the government to people in general. So one of the things that we can do if we do contract the virus, so far I have given you a prescription of Ganpati, Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam. These chants and Surya Sahasranam. These chants should basically keep you away from this misfortune happening to you. Yeah. You can be safe and protected if you are practicing these on a regular basis. But just in case of exposure, just in case you have contracted the virus, once you do have the virus, the only energy that will fight Rahu off is Hanumanji. Okay. We don't want to bring in Mangal before it's required. The only energy that has the strength to fight and beat Rahu or the demon or the virus is Hanumanji. But I don't recommend that all the time, only if you have dire circumstances. So if you have contracted the virus, or if you feel in some which way you are exposed to the virus, then the only energy, the only puja that I can recommend is Hanumanji. So in the eventuality that anybody does catch the virus, I would recommend that you do your Hanuman Sahasranamam if you know that and have access to that text. If you do not know that and you haven't been taught that, you at least know Hanuman Chalisa. So Hanuman Chalisa, Bajrang Ban, these are very good chants to counter this problem if you are suffering from it right now. So do Hanumanji ki puja, do Hanuman Sahasranam, do whatever chants that you know of Hanumanji in case you contract the virus. It will definitely, your immune system will perk up and start beating it out. If we are able to chant these, it will just assist the immune system in doing that. So we are attuning our energies to perk up our immune system in case we have contracted the virus. So that is my two bits of. It was very sad to hear, but there is nothing we can do. I think sooner or later we will all definitely come in contact with the virus. So good to know what you can do if you do come in contact with this virus. You want to chant, do all the chants for Hanumanji. And because, say, if you're really sick and you're really in a lot of pain and you're suffering, you really don't have the strength to read anything fancy or long. We all know the Hanuman Chalisa by heart by now. Let's just recite that continuously. That will really help. So just in case this happens, this the only thing that we can do after is Hanumanji ki puja. Before, we can do a lot. Before that, we can do um, Aditya Hridayam, Surya Sahasranam, Ganpati Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam, Vishnu Sahasranam. All of this will help us keep safe, stay protected. But if in the eventuality you have contracted a flu or the corona or any other kind of ailment that is now making you suffer, in this eventuality, then leave everything else and just focus on Hanumanji. Because if it is an external invasion into our system, then the only thing that can help us tide over it is Mangal. Okay, so that is my two bits for the virus. And if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer. No? Okay. So that's fairly simple and straightforward. I don't feel any young people would generally in our group succumb to something like this because we've been preparing for this for a long time. But still, there is no harm in invoking the right energies. So today, I had a lot of choices. We had discussed Viparyaya in our first session, then we discussed um, disease in our second session. And then yesterday we had a longish discussion on avidya. And I suggested yesterday that you should embrace that feeling of avidya. Does anybody have any questions from anything we've discussed so far? Okay, I'll assume that is a no. And if you do have a question, you can write to me. One of the things that I want to talk about today is why do we reach this state of avidya? You know, we hear all the philosophy ever written talks about how you're not, or everything so far also that we've talked about is that We are not seeing things clearly. We are not seeing things right. We are basically in this whole quagmire of ignorance and Maya, so to say. But why are we in this Maya? Why do we suffer from this Maya? Why is there such demented understanding of who we are and what we really should do? Why is there such a distance from our source? Does anybody have any thoughts around that? Why is it like this? Is that a fair enough question to ponder upon? Firstly, right? So fair. Why is it like this? Why the hell are we not seeing it the right way? Why are we not perceiving things the way they are? Why are we always having this crazy cover of Maya? Why are we in this bubble that keeps us from seeing the truth? Why is it like that? Yeah. Anjuji?
Because attachment,
Attachment?
attachment.
Okay.
Because
Anjuji?
we are not aware of our true self, which is the self or the Atma. We are constantly wanting to feel fulfilled because of we are actually a complete being, but because we take the body, we identify with all the acquisitions we acquire and we feel we will be happy with that, and we cannot achieve happiness with that or attain happiness. That is again comes back to the thing of it is avidya. We don't have the true knowledge of ourselves.
Oh, correct. That is very well said. Hina, you have something to add to this?
I was just thinking probably we have to go through the lessons that we are meant to learn and eventually, come out of it and reach a stage where we pass through it, right?
I thought those are good thoughts. These are very, very good thoughts. Nisha, you have something to add?
Didi, that because the entire process of evolving into, say, not an enlightened, but somebody who knows, is to seek that and make you work towards it. Basically, when you will value it more if you get that gyan.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday a little bit.
Yeah, so that's why Vidya was made, so that you can actually pave your own way. And
Vidya was made.
it was it's we are made that way so that we seek it and we work towards it.
Yeah, that could be true. I'll give you a very simple example. If does anybody else have anything to say? No? You're just gonna listen to me? What if I feed you a Vidya? There's no guarantees I'm gonna teach you the truth. Okay. There's a very a simple example, and I stumbled upon it as I was thinking about, okay, one of the bigger questions is why are we like this? Right? Why do we not know our true nature? Purusha or Shiva, or all the texts talk about it differently. The true nature is inherent in us. Why do we not know it? And and we have lots of, yes, Manu.
Hi, I'm sorry.
No, you don't have anything to say? Okay. I thought you raised your hand. So, you didn't raise your hand?
I'm I raised my hand. I don't know how to use Zoom. So, yeah. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
I'm sorry I missed out on the last two sessions. I just had a question that why is this happening? And yeah, if you have answered that earlier, I'm sorry. I'll get back to you on a direct call later on.
Okay. Yeah, I think I did answer it in the first session a little bit.
Right. Okay. Fine. So I'll listen to that video and then get back to you.
Okay. So the question in front of us is that why do we always get a demented view? Why are we not able to see it clearly? And as I was thinking about this, I thought about our micro universe. Like, I understand that the macro, the bigger universe, works exactly the same as the little universe that we have in around us. So if you look at the little universe, when we were born from the flesh and blood and genetic matter of our parents, right? And when the child starts to grow up, we often say, oh, this child looks like the mother, looks like the father, talks like the mother, talks like the father, works like the mother, works like the father. And this goes on right up to the age of 5. What happens after? This individual who was actually just genetic matter and physical matter arriving from its parents suddenly starts wanting to have an identity. And in this need to have an identity, sometimes the first step that it takes is to reject everything that it knows that defines it, right? So you come into puberty and you say, mom knows nothing and dad is completely wrong. And this goes on for a while. There is an experimentation phase. You try and figure out who you are. You look, you lose, you try again. By the time you are in your 30s, you kind of settle down and you realize you're very much like your parents. You're as passive as them, you're as active as them, you're as inquisitive as them, you're as you entrepreneurial as them. There's not much difference really. You are pretty much your parents over again. So I take this example as an example of the individual consciousness coming away from the universal consciousness. And the first thing it does is it starts to create its own world. I am, and this is my world. What do you know about it? Some teacher once talked about it like it's like watching the ocean. And when you watch this ocean, you're seeing this huge, big, unending space of water. And then you see individual waves. The waves individualize themselves. Is the individual the truth, or is the ocean the truth? Or is it true that the individual is the ocean? See the quandary? Are we our parents? over again? Or are we completely different, separate human beings? Do we represent the entire genetic matter for generations? We talk about that when we talk about our lineage in our courses. So, why do we see things differently? We see things differently because we have an ego to individualize. If we were living in times where we were looking up to our parents, we're not living in those times. Our parents by no means are great benchmarks. But if we were living in a time when we were looking up to our parents and wanting to do everything they do, a small child does. But as a grown up, as we manifest ourselves, we do want to do that lesser and lesser and lesser. We don't want to be our parents. Yeah. But say if we were living in a time where my father was, say, Agastya Rishi or Atri, and then there was no which way that I could imagine myself have so much knowledge. And I was trying my very best to emulate that. That would be a completely different human being, right? Will that individual stray very far away from the genetic matter? They're not far away from the genetic matter, but will they think of themselves as far away from where they come from? Probably not. Probably not so much. So, the biggest reason why we want to individualize ourselves is because we are not very happy with what we see. And we feel, you remember when you were like in your 16, 17, 18, 20, right up to 22, you felt like you could change the world? You were better than everybody else? At, at some point, you have this need to express yourself and say, you guys, you are not doing it well enough. Let me try and do it. In that need to individualize, we become different from. So the reason why we have illusion in our life, the reason why we are, and Anjuji touched upon this, I just wanted to exemplify what she was saying. The reason why we come into the fold of Maya, of these series of untruths or falsehoods, is because we want to express ourselves as an individual, separate from, different from our source. And then the journey to go back into that source is a very humbling one. Again, let's go back to that example of, watching your parents and then saying, I am different, I am different, I am different. And you can say that only for so many years. Life will humble you down into realizing you're probably the same and probably even a lesser version of them. Yeah. A smaller version of who they were. But that is a very humbling experience. How does that happen? How do we reach from I am better than you guys to I'm probably the same and even not good enough? How do you reach that point? If we look at the micro space, then we'd be able to do it for the macro space. If we can understand it, how does that happen for me and my parents? Then I will be able to understand how do I make that happen for me and my master, or me and the universe, or me and the supreme consciousness? So what does it take? Let's think about it. Both, what does it take to do that? Anybody else want to say, what does it take to change from thinking I am the greatest to realizing I am the same as them? What does it take? Go ahead, say it.
I believe you just realize it. Karuna.
How does that happen? Anybody else?
Voice is
Umakant, how does that happen? Vikram?
Didi, can you repeat the question? I'm not able to hear you properly.
yeah.
The question is, how do we change from being these radically different individuals in our youth to very similar people to our parents? How do we become our parents over a period of time? What does it take for us to remove the illusion in that and come to realize the truth? What is required? Yeah, Neha.
Like you tend to react the same way as they do, and you see those situations kind of repeat with yourself, and you feel that okay, this is what happened to them and this is how they reacted, and now I am in this situation and I'm reacting just the way they did.
So the situations have to happen, right?
But because like you say, like it's everything is in our genes. Even we carry forward our the
Uh,
planetary system that we have.
these situations
It's
have to
kind of a
happen,
carry
and
forward, so we see not we don't see same but very similar situations, and we react to them very similarly.
Very good. Jitero beta. Yeah, both. What were you saying?
but Didi, in addition, I think now understood the question. You also need a little bit of evolveness or some sort of self introspection to know that this is the same situation and you're reacting like that. So, uh, so only the same situation won't help in people realizing that it's the same situation and we are reacting like them. So,
Very good. Hina?
I don't know if this is right, but being accepting, surrendering to being open to learn new lessons.
Very good. As we grow, all of you are absolutely correct. As we grow older, we become more beaten,
Hmm.
right? Like we have seen a lot more life, we have seen a lot many challenges. We don't think from a prism of naivety. We are a lot more beaten because we are a lot more seasoned, because we have seen a lot more practice of life, right? Practice of life. The discipline of living has happened. The discipline of providing for yourself has happened. The discipline of providing for your family has happened. Everybody goes out and earns. The responsibility has happened. So, because all of this has happened, it is making me humble. It is allowing me to surrender. It is also making me very aware of the challenges that my parents went through. And it teaches me to be them a lot more gracefully than I was able to when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, even up to 25. So, how do we translate this understanding? What does it take? What does it take is if I continuously put myself in a situation which is beyond me, then I will see all my reactions and actions in face of that situation. Say somebody never stepped out of the house, okay? Say a child never stepped out of the house, was provided for their whole life. Do you think they will have the same understanding? I'm sure you'll all agree that that child will not have the same understanding. Unless you leave the house, unless you have your own family, unless you start making decisions, unless you start taking responsibility, unless you start going out to work, the realization will not be there, right? The understanding of what your parents went through, how you are like them, will not be there. Similarly, if we look at the macro space, yeah, the macro space being the universe and the macro knowledge being the eternal knowledge, or Shiva or Purusha. How do we come to realize we are like that? The From the example that we have taken, the only way to realize we are exactly like that is to put ourselves out into new and different challenging situations. The more challenges we have, the better we will be able to realize the supreme knowledge. It'll come slowly, but it'll come for sure. So, the essence of what we need to do to overcome Maya, the essence of what we need to do to overcome the illusion that we have, is to continuously expose ourselves to new and different challenges. Always address that which I fear the most, that which makes me the most uncomfortable, that which is absolutely against my personality, or I think it is against my personality. When you start addressing those issues, or when you start behaving like that, when you live life without any models, then you would be able to realize the true potential, realize the true self. If I am afraid of going out at night, I should still go out at night. If I am afraid of meeting with people, I should still meet with people. If I am afraid of teaching a class or public speaking, I should still try and do that. And as I try and do that, and as I perfect that activity, it grows my consciousness of who I truly am, right? Because I thought I was afraid of the dark. I thought I couldn't teach a class. I thought I couldn't socialize, but I'm doing it. So who am I, right? The idea of who I am completely changes as I put myself out there and take on more and more responsibility and diligently work on it, dutifully work on it. If I sit in my comfort zone, if I sit where it makes me absolutely comfortable, where I have everything provided for, I'm working according to my personality and my resources, will I learn anything? I will not. So the one way, this is the Karma Yoga way, so, one of the many ways in which you can dissolve the illusion and realize the self is by working on it, working on anything that you don't want to do. Yeah, there is a very beautiful story of Swami Shivananda, and he used to propagate karma yoga, right? And all teachers do. You should try and serve the guru as much as possible and do take on responsibility in the ashram, which whatever responsibility is given, you have to do it. So in his ashram, people would come from various different, you know, um, financial backgrounds and social backgrounds, and they would all congregate. And it was just karma yoga that bound them together. So everybody had to do some task. So there was one man who came to Swamiji's ashram, and karma yoga was very important to him. And Swamiji, this was like much before it became a very big ashram, was on in personal contact with all his students or followers. So at this time, when this guy comes from a European country, very, snobbish, and I am this and I am that. So he's assigned the task of cleaning the toilets. Swamiji assigns him the task of cleaning the toilets. He can't say no. He came and he has to do what Swamiji asked him to do. So he stood in front of the toilet the next day. There were a series of 14 toilets. And he stood there and he kept wondering, how am I going to clean these toilets? Those days, it used to be Indian toilets. You can imagine the Indian toilet sunk into the ground, and you have this little seat that you have to clean. And this man is standing there and wondering, how am I going to clean these toilets? So Swamiji comes and he's kind of like ashamed, and he looks at him, and Swamiji says, "What's the problem?" He's like, "Swamiji, I'm wondering how I should clean the toilets." Swamiji says, "What's there in cleaning the toilet?" He takes the soap from his hand, and with his hand he cleans the entire toilet. Then he washes his hands. He says, "See, there is nothing to it. Clean the toilets." How much would that man have grown in that one incident? Can you imagine? All the barriers of what somebody can do or can't do, should do or shouldn't do, will do and won't do, completely came crashing down. So, if you want to rise above Maya, if you want to rise above the illusion of what you can or what you can't, who you are and who you aren't, then what you want to do is constantly put yourself out there and say, I'm going to do it. At least I'm going to try. It may not happen the first time, it may not happen the second time. With discipline, continue to persevere and it will happen. And then you would have changed the definition of who you are. Little by little, you would have grown who you are. Little by little, you would have broken through the illusion of what is your reality. Does this make sense? Does anybody have a question?
Interestingly, what I understand is regarding especially the cleaning the toilets, kind of breaks the ego. So the last time I was at the ashram, I went for doing that, and I think it did break my ego a bit. I can't say the entire lot, but yeah.
Yeah, it is not about just breaking the ego. When I'm not saying go clean the toilets, right? All I'm saying is whatever illusion you have of who you are, break that.
That's exactly what I mean. I mean, like, yeah,
If
it
you
was
think
not easy.
you are too good for something, then do it. If you think you are too bad at something, then still do it. If you
Right.
think you can't, still do it. So the path that Karma Yoga shows us to break through this whole world of Maya is to continue to persevere and to pursue all those things that we can't with discipline and dedication. And then slowly and gradually, what you can't will become what you can. And what you can will become what you're really, really good at. And then your whole definition of who you are changes. And if it changes long enough, you will come to this realization. If it changes every day, you will come to a realization that there is nothing beyond you. You can do everything. There is no knowledge that can escape you. You can learn everything. The only thing that was keeping you from learning everything is your mind. The only thing that was keeping you from doing everything is your ego. And if we remove the mind and if we remove the ego, we attain realization that we can everything and we are everything. Does that make sense? Do you understand? Vikram?
Yes, Didi, I do.
Perfect. Perfect. It's a very simple thing. Like it's not very complicated. When we talk about it in Yoga Sutras or in Gita, it seems like it's very complicated. It's not. It's very simple. If you can't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, just make sure you try. If you can't sleep at 9 o'clock at night, make sure you try. If you can't read more than one page in a book, make sure you try. If you can't get yourself to clean your house and dust your house, make sure you try. That's all that it is. Anything that you find yourself telling yourself, I can't, just go ahead and try it. And then you will be able to. And that will completely change you over a period of time. So I think that's all that we have time for today. And this whole practice is, what is it called? It's called Karma Yoga. How do we realize ourselves? How do we unite ourselves with the truth or with the Supreme Being? By working on it. There is Gyan Yoga also, which we've been discussing last 2-3 days. But this is, I thought there was merit in talking about Karma Yoga because it's not just all an intellectual activity. We have to, at some point, put it into action. And the more we put it into action, the better our chances of realization. Karma Yoga is a must with all kinds of pursuits. You must put your body in there, put your mind in there, and make it work for you. So I hope you enjoyed the session today, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow, same time. For those of you who want to still chant, they can continue to be here, and we'll do chanting after those of